Hi.
Oh, no Graeme yet. Oh, how
No,
exciting.
Graeme. No.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hi, downstairs.
I am looking out for Graeme because he will be joining us at some point. He said he might be a bit late. Turns out that is possibly going to be true. Anyway, I shall pass over to you.
Welcome to another Wednesday night with Andy and Lindsay. As Graeme's not here yet, welcome to Inside the Rookery. Hi. So what have we got on this evening? So this evening we are going to be talking about what's on in October for Inside the Rookery plus special episodes. We're going to be talking about the latest news on production plans for the Rookery, and we're going to have a sneak preview of some of Mark's art for our
The
freebie
Well of Bones.
for AlbaCon, the Well of Bones. So let me just get. I'll keep on popping this in because the con is the con this weekend. Is that right?
It's this weekend, absolutely. So if you want to go to AlbaCon and see the Well of Bones, get your own copy of it. Now is the time to pop over. If Lindsay's got a web address, she can pop that up. It's hopefully in the comments somewhere. It is indeed. It's over in the comments.
It's in the comments.
Do pop over, do sign up, and you will be getting yourself a free supplement from us. A little bit more about that later, because the first thing that we're going on to is our Autumnal Feast. This is our feast of, we hope, really awesome content that will be coming this month. We have a nice little thing that can pop up on screen if Lindsay wants to pull that up. She's busy attempting to do that right now, I think. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at that. So let's quickly run through these. First up, we have on the 2nd of October, Cara Ellison. Now, if you've been catching us online on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever, Andy Leask has been sharing like mad about Cara because he met Cara back in university and they're the bestest buds. Indeed, I think this evening they were out having dinner off swanning around Edinburgh somewhere, as you do. They're going to be discussing narrative designs. Cara is just the best. I think you're all going to really enjoy this one. I'm hoping I might be able to actually sit out of this one and watch it. We'll see who gets lined up for that stream, because I'm really looking forward to being a viewer for a change. Next up is the Well of Bones. This is when we're going to take a deep dive into the creation of the Well of Bones and what we did to bring this together. We're going to be discussing the Well of Bones a little bit more in this stream as well. We're just going to be discussing a little bit about what it is so that you can have a look at just how cool the initial image is. A little bit more about that in a mo. Next up is Phil Harris. Phil Harris, you might know if you've played Warhammer Odyssey on mobile. He's one of the lead narrative designers on that. He's also someone who has a breadth of experience across the gaming industry. And he's going to be talking about how all the different parts of the gaming studios slot together and work with narrative to create games. That's going to be, I think, a super interesting one because it'll be a completely different angle from what Cara's taking it, where she's going to be discussing purely about the narrative. Phil's going to be discussing more about how it all works together as one big process. Next up is one that is amusing me quite a lot, given this weekend it is indeed David Wright going extremely, let's say, busy because of AlbaCon. He's going to be coming back and he's going to be discussing cons, clubs, competitions, how to run them yourself if you want to know how to do that, if you want to build your own cons, and also a bit of a deconstruction on how well things went with AlbaCon. Perhaps what he'll do differently next time, or perhaps what he'll do the same. I don't know if you've already looked out at AlbaCon and everything that it has to offer, but just take a look at all the sponsors they have alone. It is an extraordinary list of extremely good companies providing support in a variety of different ways. And plus, if you do sign up for this one, you, get stuff from us, obviously, but you also help charity, which is the big one.
We've got someone from AlbaCon watching.
Hello! That's the man himself, I presume, given it's a second chapter. Hi, David. I presume it's you. So that's David. He'll be on the 23rd. Then we go to our special episode, which I'll get to in just a moment, because we have another little slide for that one, because if you're going to do it, you're as well to do it properly. And then finally, we have Mark Gascoigne coming in for a special Halloween episode. We're still pinning down exactly what we're going to discuss there. We've gone backwards and forwards a few times. So at the moment, it just says Halloween. You might know Mark Gascoigne if you've ever read any Black Library books. He ran Black Library. In fact, he founded Black Library over at Games Workshop. Also, if any of you are Fighting Fantasy fans, he was the Fighting Fantasy editor for pretty much ever and has been working for a whole host of other companies here and there, largely creating game books in one fashion or another. And he is quite literally the best. I'm really looking forward to that conversation. That's at the end of the month, bringing us to the end for our Autumnal Feast. Well, not quite, because we have, let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, it didn't work. I'm going to have to do it myself. Watch. Look, mouse. That's what you call. Oh, look at that. Developing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. This is a stream that I'm really looking forward to. These are some of the bestest people I know. We've got Graeme, whom I think most of you already know. He is the only writer to have written for all 4 editions of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. He is one of the very first developers for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. He had his fingers in every single Games Workshop book that was produced for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay during the first edition, and then into Flame Publishings, which he also developed for. He is the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 1 maestro, and then into 2, into 3, and into 4 as well. Next up, we have James Wallace. Now, James Wallace has popped up as a name in our streams on more than one occasion. And we also had him referenced in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4 because he rather famously said that if you're playing the Enemy Within campaign, one thing you must make sure you do is sink their fucking barge. Because in that campaign, somewhat famously, people tend to get caught up with trading up and down the River Right on their boat, which they have. This is something that pretty much everybody who has played the campaign has done to some degree.
James Wallace sunk my boat.
Yeah, well, he sunk a lot of our barges. James Wallace was the head honcho over at Hogshead Publishing, which took over the license of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition. So he ran Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay all the way through and what led into the Dark Ages when there was no Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay content. He knows it back to front and is a remarkably eloquent speaker as well. So I'm really looking forward to what he's going to say. Next, we move down to Chris Primus. Chris Primus, many of you will know, was the designer and first developer on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2. Chris Primus also, and I would suggest he is a man of good judgment, has hired me many times to both write and create stuff like the old Freeport map that's sitting behind me. He is the president of Rookery Publishing, and he is an all-round awesome chap. He had the, I would say, almost unenviable task of taking a beloved game, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, and then updating it. And for any of you who were around at the release point of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Second Edition, you'll know that the Black Industries forums were alive with all manner of edition wars, as is often the case when a new edition arrives. I was there back then. I was moderator over at Black Industries forums. Those were the days. As was Andy Leask. For those of you who were there, the name that I first used when I was moderating was Sigmar. There you go. A little known fact. Moderating back in the forums back in the day. And our job was to try and keep everything as calm as possible when the edition wars raged on. Nevertheless, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2 became one of the most beloved editions of the game. It's an edition which I have great love for because I wrote tons for it. I was involved with the vast majority of the books in one fashion or another through its various developers, and I love it dearly. And then we go to some weird bloke who you can't quite tell is wearing a Santa hat in that picture. That's me, the co-designer, developer, producer, whatever, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4. Before I came off and went and did all the Rookery stuff, I was there slapping away like mad on my keyboard, doing exactly what Chris did for updating First Edition and the Second Edition. But in my case, I was looking at, in many respects, re-establishing Warhammer, because the Third Edition, we're dealing with, in this particular case, the developers for the percentile versions of Warhammer. Third Edition went in a very different direction, and it was my job to go, well, what can we do to bring it back to what everybody knew and loved before? So that's who's going to be on the stream, and we are going to have a lot of fun, I think. So if you have any questions for us, now is the time to start thinking about them. You know what to do. Pop over to our Discord, which hopefully Lindsay has got a nice link for if you don't know it already. Pop over to our Discord. We have a special channel there where you can just ask questions if you want. If you drop them in there, Lindsay will get to them and make sure that they pop up in the stream and they're all prepared beforehand. But also remember, on the day itself, you can come in and you can do the thing. No Graeme yet. He's quite late. That's 10 minutes. I shake my fist at thee, Graeme. Wherever you are in the world, probably panicking, going, how do I get in? His headphones probably aren't working again.
I quite like this comment though, Graeme. Great M, abbreviation for the infamous mountain range that separates the Empire from the lands of the Lady. That's nice.
That is nice, isn't it? Good old Grey Lady Pass. Or the Grey Mountains. Absolutely. So that's the Grey M Mountains. So that's developing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I'm looking forward to that stream loads. That's on the 27th. Now that's a Wednesday. That's not our normal time because it's a special episode that sits in between. We won't have special episodes every month, but we will definitely try to have them as and when they occur. They won't just be about Warhammer. They'll be about all manner of different gaming subjects according to who we can get hold of in a particular month. If you have any ideas for who we should try to get in contact with to pop onto the streams, do tell us and we can reach out. Or if you know them, go bug them on our behalf and we'll happily have them aboard because that'll just make it more fun for everybody. So that's our Inside the Rookery for, I don't want to press the button in case I press the wrong one and go the wrong way with the art. So not to accidentally spoil something I don't want to spoil yet. In fact, maybe you could just get rid of the screeny bit and then I can do it with impunity in the background. There we go. So let me just fix that. We can bring it back up again.
I've got no idea how I'm going to control the session with the four of you.
It's going to be interesting. Because all of us are talkative. Yep. Particularly me. So anyway, that's that's our autumnal feast.
Yeah, Jaleb says maybe don't harass random people over appearing on the Rookery though. Yeah, if you have an idea for a guest, let us know. And if we have an existing relationship with them, then we'll endeavour to get them. But otherwise, we're not just going to go out of the blue and start harassing random people.
And we definitely don't want anybody else to do that either. That would be
please don't do that.
Deeply uncool. No. Only if you know them personally.
Hey,
it's Graeme.
Hi, everybody.
I was sitting here pedaling away.
Yeah, sorry to leave you. Oh, I am illuminated by a shaft of light from the heavens, which doesn't seem quite right.
You are awesome.
You look like one of the smart posing.
Let me just put that off. I'll be right.
Whenever I think of Graeme, I do indeed think of him descending from the heavens on a shaft of celestial light. Graeme, we had just covered what Into the Rookery is going to have over the course of next month, the Autumnal Feast that we have for everybody, and we've just gone through the special edition with the 4 Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay developers together.
Oh, yes, that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And Lindsay was bemoaning the fact that she was going to have to try and figure out how to manage that particular stream with 4 somewhat loquacious people. It's going to be hard to get anyone to just be quiet. Mm-hmm. All of us will have so much to say. So next up from us is what we're going to be doing for the Rookery itself. Now, as those of you who joined us near the beginning of the year know, we had our first playtest then. And we sat down and we had a big rethink about how we were going to do everything from that. The first adventure, Ship of Fools, is finished in terms of the writing, as most of you know. We are at the point where, well of bones aside, the art is now getting put in, the layout is now in, and we're deciding exactly when we want to release that. But that aside, let's move on to the other things that we have coming too, because Well of Bones is just one part of our first season of products. So the very first one that we're going to offer from that season is Welcome to the Coiled Crown. Welcome to the Coiled Crown is a freebie, which is nice.
Yep.
Don't we all love a freebie? Do you want to pick up on that one, Graeme?
Yeah. Yeah, you do that. You've earned it. Rest your throat for a bit. So Welcome to the Coiled Crown. As Andy says, it's free. and it's with the intention of being so awesome that everybody who picks it up for free will just want to carry on, will be sucked into the world of the Coil Crown against their will, and will buy lots and lots of our stuff.
That's just awesome, and I would prefer to hope that it was willful rather than
not against their will. Yes.
that
yes.
would
no means no.
Consent's important here, Graeme.
Yes. Yeah, but yes, without being to help themselves would be a better way to put it.
Effectively, it is an introduction to everything that the Coil Crown will be offering to you, the user of awesome fantasy stuff, because all of our products are designed to go with, hopefully, all fantasy role-playing games and some others too, depending on how you want to adapt those things. So this is going to give you a big insight into the sort of material that you're going to be getting from us and how that might slot into the games that you have before you. One part of that will be, as we say, the Well of Bones, which will be coming up next. And that will be included in the little mention-y bits in there. The next product we'll have after that is our first bestiary, which is the World of the Coil Crown bestiary. And I'm looking forward to this one. Actually.
It's got some really nice, horrible, terrifying stuff in it.
We are more than happy for Julius Statius to steal our stuff for non-fantasy as well.
Indeed, I strongly recommend doing such things and then sharing with us what you've done. I'm hoping for at least one bionic eye.
And Seagoat says, having already sailed upon the ship of fools, I reckon I'm already there.
I'm actually very, very, very interested to see how the playtesters are going to see what we've done with the ship of fools. Because it has, I'm not going to say it's changed. It hasn't changed. It's still the ship of fools that you played, but it has certainly had an upgrade. And I'm pretty proud of where it's currently sitting. It's smile-worthy product, to say the least.
Me too, because we talk about listening to our playtesters, and we do, and we make changes, and but then their ideas give us more ideas, and it's just this feedback loop where we get to the point where we could go on forever, but we've got to really stop and do something else and publish this one.
And we have what's coming after that.
Are the best. I love our bestiary.
I see what you did.
Will there be a seagoat in our bestiary?
Yeah, there should be. Yeah.
Oh, we will see.
Imagine a seagoat. That would be even worse than a kelpie.
I mean, can you get worse than a kelpie?
I think so. A water goat must be scarier than a water horse.
So we'll have rules, we'll have background, we'll have little snippets of stories, we'll have a host of horrific creatures that you can add to your games in any way you see fit. We've, much like we did with Ship of Fools, for those of you who helped us playtest that, we've worked quite hard at making sure we've got a presentation that is easily adaptable to any system, so that hopefully you can pick up and play it and use it without having to do much in the way of work at your end. Now, for some systems, that's obviously far easier than others, because some systems are rules light. So all you really need to do is just drop a couple of numbers and you're away. But for the systems that are more rules heavy, you're looking at your D&Ds of the world, I still think that we've come pretty dang close to nailing something that will allow you to just uplift and drop very easily. We also plan, though, to, where it's appropriate and where it fits, have a nice little side PDF for things like D&D stats, which you can just do open game license anyway. So we will drop those in as well. That'll be like a second little extra bit that we drop on the side. But the plan is for the core book itself to do all the legwork. And if you want to adapt it to your system, we have an entire Discord waiting to be filled up with your version. I was going to say, those creatures should be presented.
Yeah, I was going to use that as an opportunity to just plug the Discord community again, because there's going to be a lot of conversation on there. There was already among the Ship of Fools playtesters, people swapping advice and ideas and methods for adapting the stats of our system agnostic products to their particular system.
Absolutely. So next up after that, we have the Afterfields. The Afterfields is, we can call it many things, but it's a dark, rural, a misty province that sits outside of a great city. So it can be used beside any great city that you might have. And can be used as a big bread basket, because so many fantasy cities tend to forget that they need to eat food. So we've provided you with a whole area where you can say, well, this is a chunk of where they get their food from, and how that area could have come to exist, even if your particular city is a boggy marsh, or if it's something else that sits on the outside, you can very easily adapt it and use what we've created to build that in. It's in some respects our transitional location, in that it's one that you can hopefully enter into and then come out of on the other side deeply into the coiled crown. So our version, or our fantasy world that we're hoping you can slot into your world with ease, or alternatively just use completely as you feel fit within your game system. It's a fun one. It's not just a bunch of locations. It's got an entire town in there. There's a bit of an adventure. There's all manner of NPCs. There's flyers. There's posters. There's all manner of cool stuff.
That's right.
Very excited about this one.
And if you enjoy folk horror sort of stories set in places like the Fens of East Anglia, you're going to like the Afterfields.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool bits in there.
There's a lot of seagull chat in the comments, and I have to say that the seagulls of Dundee are pretty bad, but the seagulls of Arbroath are legendary in their ability to steal anything.
Small children, dogs.
Yeah.
We also have our own version that's in the bestiary of the horrendous seagull-like creatures that could be flocking merrily in your city or beside your city, including some of my favorite adventure hooks, actually. Some of them just make me laugh thinking about them.
The Rando of Art says rural locations are underrepresented in RPGs, in my opinion. They're often just the areas you go through. And they're often quite samey. We've been trying to think about rural and semi-rural and what the city does and what's around it. And so what makes this rural area different to any, same old farmy village?
And the part of the point is to give it a life of its own and a purpose and a personality, so that it's, as you say, not just a place you go through from point A to point B, but it's there for a reason, and the people who are there are doing stuff for reasons.
Yeah, it was particularly from my perspective, one of the primary design goals was to tackle what the Round of Art just mentioned there, which is that for all its initial design was a transitionary area, something that you're passing through as you move on to another adventure. The goal was to ensure that that wasn't what it was. There was a lot more depth there, and that depth wasn't just there for the sake of providing depth. One of the overall goals of everything that we're creating is that there's stories being told, and those stories are interweaving with each other. So hopefully if you use one adventure hook over there, it leads naturally into others elsewhere as you pass your way through these locations. And they're not just adventure hooks that are happening and exciting and fun, they're also part of the overall story. So they're all building towards a bigger story that you can either take in your own direction, or you can run with the stories that we're building as well, and they'll hopefully support that as a host of fun foundational struts.
That's true. And although the Coiled Crown does have a very strong main storyline, it is a tapestry with many threads, all of which contribute to the greater whole. And that's part of what we've done with the Afterfields, and we'll be doing with future products too.
Yeah, I think that.
Can you remember the great Wifrup First Ed rural book whose name is escaping?
I'm thinking it was probably Death's Dark Shadow.
Death's Dark Shadow.
Yeah, and that was a village with a number of personalities and stories and so on. And also, as far as I know, the only role-playing supplement to be developed from a pack of cardboard buildings, because it was based on Blood on the Streets, the early Warhammer supplement.
Which I incorporated into the Sylvania map for 2nd edition. Just as a small aside, because it was cited on the Upper Aver. And so I took the old, somewhat English-sounding names and I turned them all German, and I dropped that into the maps and made sure that they all we got ourselves some really good old Warhammer references into the second edition of Warhammer.
Love when that happens.
A red herring
Yeah,
festival, someone suggested.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
I love that.
Excuse me. My mic there, and quickly
He's
take
making
down
notes.
some notes.
Yeah.
So, what other ideas do you have there? Festival, love it. Keep on sending your ideas in.
Yes.
We've got one last supplement that's coming in our first season, and this is the one that concludes the afterfields, all the misty creatures that sit in this province out there. It's called What Rides Beneath, and it's the first supplement that really starts drilling in hard concerning some of the stories that we intend to tell with the Coil Crown as we move forward. What Rides Beneath is pretty much finished. We're about to announce ourselves another playtest. So watch for the next few weeks as to when exactly we'll be doing that. We don't want to announce it quite yet, purely because we're really picky. We're still kind of picking through it and deciding if we want to make any changes before we throw it at you, and you get even pickier. Which is exactly what we're looking
for. You will, yes.
Yeah, totally. So that's almost on the edge of going out towards its playtest. So watch this space. I'm pretty excited about this one, just because it does a couple of things that are a bit different, and I'm going to immediately segue over to that because it speaks to something that we're doing in Discord too. For those of you who are our patrons, you'll probably have noticed we've got Corva with some special features that only the patrons can use. Now, one of those is directly tied into What Rides Beneath, and some of you have already spotted it and tried it out. I'm going, what's this all about? Where you can send off some special super secret missions to your players, or as the GM or DM or whatever you happen to be in your game. And that's part of the opening of What Rides Beneath. Also, one of the card games, I think it's a card game from that one, or is it a dice game? Whichever one, Prince in the Hole, I think it is. Or is it Silver Seat? Regardless, that entire game is available as well for you to try out in the private bot testing chamber for all the rooks. Do try out those games, because they're games that are actually in the game as well. And after the playtest, we added an extra little dice game into Ship of Fools as well.
That's right.
So that dice game's available over on the patron side of the Discord server too. So if you haven't tried that already, do recommend it, because it's an awful lot of fun. And if you haven't joined us as a patron yet, I feel I should probably say you should.
Well, you've just heard a number of good reasons to give it a try for as little
absolutely.
As a pound
It only costs £1, and you're right in there.
Yeah.
We would appreciate that enormously, because the more patrons we have, the more cool content that we can create.
That's right.
I've popped the link in the chat.
Oh, you're the best.
For viewers on YouTube afterwards, it's in the YouTube comments too.
Excellent. To backtrack just a little bit, I don't know if it's been pointed out before, but all the season 1 material is in a way greater than the sum of its parts, because we have the What Rides Beneath, which is the start of the campaign. Then the Afterfields deepens the setting and gives you a lot more options, places, people, plots and threads and so on. And then the Bestiary drills down into some great monsters to throw around in that area. So it's all of a part, all of a piece.
Caleb says, we heard you like games, so we put games in your game so you can game while you game. Basically, that's Andy Law's life philosophy summed up there.
Yep.
It's so true. I would love to deny that, but I cannot.
Lindsay, I was thinking I might just test out a mini game on you.
Be glad you're not my wife, or I don't know. Maybe you'll think differently. So that's where we are at season 1. I think Graeme hit the nail on the head there. Our intent is not just to create some separate little supplements. Our job is to build something that each individual part is awesome, but when you combine it together, like Voltron, you get yourself a giant robot that can kill anything.
It's awesome
it's
squared.
like the Dinobots. No matter how much you might like Grimlock, turning into a big giant version is so much better. He is a Constructicon as well. And that's loosely what we're doing with these. Individually, each supplement is awesome. As a combination, you've got yourself a full, deep, integrated, interwoven setting that you can pick apart and take all the bits that you like and hopefully turn that into something that will make your games shine. Because that's all we want for our own home game, something that really inspires us. And
His Imperial Majesty has joined us again. He's been away for a while. Probably on the Warfront, who knows? Does the Patreon feature special gnome content?
Now, we should be careful with this because we don't want to betray the gnomes to the witch hunters, do we?
No. One must be careful with that. But I will say that today I wrote the word gnome in a document and had a smile on my face. It's a bit silly, but I was like, oh, that was fun. So I shan't say that the patron particularly includes that, but it does include an insight into all the various things that we're doing. And on that, Graeme and I are planning one for our patrons, which I think is going possibly next month or the month after. I don't know if we've pinned down the date yet. Do you want to talk to that one, Graeme?
Certainly.
Excellent.
Now,
now, what am I talking about?
That was the very subtlest of introductions there, Andy. But if it's the one I'm thinking of,
it is.
Then back at Gen Con in 2019, when the Warhammer adventure Rough Nights and Hard Days was newly out, I did a little session. I called it Whose Night is Rough Anyway? And the people in the audience called out ideas, and together we chose a location and put together a multi-plot adventure in the style of A Rough Night at the Three Feathers for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and a couple of others I've written along the way. And so it was kind of a part how-to, a part community building adventure thing. And I thought it would be kind of a fun idea to repeat that on one of these streams and have people throw ideas into the chat, and we'd go along. And Andy, of course, that was what I did with Ship of Fools as well. It's another multi-plot adventure. And Andy took it from a humble country church into an enormous Baroque cathedral. So on the other side of the coin, in the same session, he'll be talking about ways to take that sort of adventure up to 11, if not 12.
Yeah, that's loosely speaking what my job was and is. It's to take a look at material and go, what can we do to turn this into something that is awesome? Because the more minds that you put on any project, generally the better it's going to be. Generally, not always, generally. And yes.
No, sorry, it was a total tangent. But do you remember we went to that Festival Fringe thing years ago, and it was a musical that people just shouted out.
Shouted out ideas.
And also, it was a really memorable name, the company that did it. But yes, also, we should go to the Festival Fringe and do this again if the Fringe comes back next year.
An improv.
Make your Fringe debut.
Venture creator. Yeah, that'd be interesting. So we're going to be doing that with the patrons, and we're going to put it together and hopefully create ourselves an interesting little adventure. And you'll get to see the actual process that we go through. For those of you who were at or saw the Gen Con version, you'll have seen one side of it, and we're looking at this to see if we can add another side to show the wider process. If that takes more than one stream, so be it. We can do another one at a later date. Take everything that we built and then add to that after. The joy of that is that the patrons get to be directly involved, but this isn't going to be only for the patrons, and by that I mean we will release the stream afterwards so that everybody can watch it. But the stream itself will be with the patrons putting it all together. So if you want to be a part of that, you know what to do if you haven't done it already. What's next on our list of things to do?
Have we finished production plans for the Rookery?
I think we've discussed season 1, yes.
Then it is a sneak preview of the Well of Bones.
The Well of Bones.
I'm looking forward to this.
Now, this is particularly fun because I don't think Graeme's actually seen this piece of art.
Oh, I can't
Have you seen
wait.
it, Graeme?
I've seen 2 pieces of art so far.
You haven't seen this one then?
Right.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Oh, show me do.
Sorry, pardon me. My giddy excitement is difficult to restrain sometimes.
There's nothing compared to mine at this moment.
Loosely speaking, this weekend is AlbaCon, and if you haven't got yourself a ticket to go to AlbaCon and then join in with some sort of game, you should do so now. You should get on your internety machine, see how up to date I am, and get over to their website, sign up for a game, log in, and if you do that, you'll also automatically entitle yourself to picking up a copy of the Well of Bones, which is an entire supplement that we have created for this con. Now, if you can't make it, which is possible, you can still donate to their fine charity, and I recommend you do that. Pop over there, and I did just say do. I am also a child. If you have done that and would still like to get it through another route, say, for example, you can't make it to the con, all of our patrons will also be getting a copy of this, but that's going to be, I think, about a week or so after the con itself. So those who go to the con will get it first. Right. It's pretty cool.
It is. And it's worth pointing out as well that AlbaCon is a virtual con, so wherever you are in the world, you can still attend.
Oh yeah. So Mark has been working very hard, and if he is watching this stream, he'll be happy to know that I didn't call him Mr. Markham. Mark has been working really hard on the art, and it's almost there. The layout is pretty much almost there. It's like on the fringe of being completed on our side. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a quick look at what is currently shaping up as our first image.
You want me to go full screen?
Why not?
Absolutely. Oh, that is beautiful.
The Well of Bones. As we are now, so shall you be.
Indeed.
I'm really looking forward to this one. And just because I can, note this is on my. I can just quickly ruin the art by putting my big pointer in the middle of it and just say, "Take a look at that!"
Oh yeah,
man! I'll move my little cursor out of the way. There is our Well of Bones. I'm obviously very excited about this, and I'm not just excited because it's got gorgeous art. I'm excited because the entire location is all kinds of fun. It's much like most of what we try to do. We try to picture multiple layers of potential gamer, where we've got, let's say, a top level gamer who might want to use it in one way, a middle level gamer who might want to use it in another, and a bottom level gamer who might want to use it in a different way, or flip those round. And we've tried to make sure that the writing incorporates all potential types of gamer inside the one.
I have no idea what you mean by bottom, middle, and top. Like,
yeah, I'm being purposely vague because I'm wanting to leave that to us discussing how we built it later. So you've had a little preview as to the crap terminology I'm currently using, and that'll be drilled down a little bit more neatly when we discuss it in the Well of Bones chat in a couple of weeks' time. It's, I think, a whole heck of a lot of fun, and I'm very, very interested to see how people are going to use it, which parts that they find useful, which bits they want to incorporate, whether it's the whole thing, whether it's a part of it, whether it's a different part to the parts I expect, whether it's just a couple of the adventure hooks, whether it's the NPC, whether it's the fact that there is an entire new, I don't know, you could almost call it a character type sitting in there. It's
there is.
Yeah, totally. It is all kinds of awesome. And that's not just because Mark has made this thing of beauty that is a joy forever. yeah, so that's the Well of Bones. As I say, go to AlbaCon and it's yours. It's yours. That's it.
It is free, gratis, and for nothing.
If you can't do it, give them some money for charity. Come join our Patreon, and you'll still get it.
It's another good reason to join our Patreon.
It is, and it's only £1. I think I may have said that already.
We have.
So yeah, that's the Well of Bones. I'm obviously, as you can tell, excited. This is the first time Graeme's seen it as well, so let me just zoom in one more time.
That's amazing.
After the call, you can go over to Mark and
squeak. I will squee in his ear if that doesn't sound too unpleasant. Oh, that is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I'm getting caught up by just looking at it. So thanks to everyone who popped along. That should have given you a nice summary of everything that we've got coming for Inside the Rookery next month. What the Rookery Publications plans for the coming time ahead. We will have announcements pretty dang soon for that, but we're finishing off the Well of Bones first. It takes priority because obviously this weekend it's the con. So all of our time is being spent on that, doing all those small last minute fine tunes to it. But after that, we're obviously gliding into the next stage of everything. And then the Well of Bones itself. Exciting.
Oh, it is.
So if anyone's got any last questions about any of that, now is the time to post them because we're probably going to be signing off in a moment.
We are. The studio is required. By
bedtime for someone.
Yeah.
So any questions? You got about an extra 3-4 seconds?
No.
No, looks like you've
they're all, we've rendered everybody speechless with the loveliness of that image.
Thanks, guys. Excellent. Well, thank you all for coming to this little episode of Beside the Rookery, and we will see you all, hopefully, on Saturday for another episode of Inside the Rookery, where we're discussing narrative design with Cara Ellison. Until then, have a great Wednesday. Bye. It is Wednesday, isn't it? It's still Wednesday.
Last time I looked.
Have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you on Saturday.
See you on Saturday. Bye.
Bye.